Hey guys, today is brought to you by DiveFans.com. It's a new app. If you want to find the coolest dive bars, Newport Beach, Costa Mesa, California, America, go to DiveFans.com. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Glad to see you guys. We missed you. Hey, today is a very cool show. I say that a lot, I know that. But any of you who understand real estate or want to understand real estate, today's the day. Because you first-time buyers, I know it's got to be hard. Listen, most people don't buy their first home. Maybe a few, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, it was around 26 to 28 average. Now, 2021, it's 33 to 36 because nobody's got the money to do it, and the real estate's going up through the roof. But today, we're going to explain to you how you can make it happen. Listen, you don't need to be stuck in that apartment with 4 of your best friends, with your Mercedes sitting out on the frickin' lot. You need to get your own house. And today is the day you're learning how to do that. Right, Troy?
Get out of the basement. Your parents are done having you there. They're done taking care of you. Get your own place and buy it. You know, the big thing about that, Hammer, is property ownership. I mean, moving out's one thing. You know, I think the first step for most people, young people, is to get an apartment somewhere, rent, get an idea of being away from home, covering your own expenses and taking care of yourself. But when you own property, you start building equity. You're not paying somebody else's mortgage for them. And by the way, renters get 0 tax credit. So, why do that? So yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. In fact, we'll just play a little bit of real estate dodgeball today. Whatever you guys throw out, whether it's first time buyer or not, I'll kick it away. So
I got to tell you one thing, bro, listen, if my parents would let me still live in the basement, I'd be saving cash, man. I'm there. Come on.
I think there are very important things that come with moving out of the basement or moving out of the second bedroom. And if you have any value for your mental health and your sex life, you need to prioritize getting out of the house.
I knew that's where he was going with that pussy, right?
We went from real estate to sex, right?
I'm going to rename my company. It's going to be Headboard Real Estate.
Headboard Real Estate. Chuck, how old were you when you moved out?
Well, I got shoved out.
I
didn't. Yeah, it was voluntary. But my profession kind of pulled me away from college, where I was living. Actually, most of us did on the dorm and on the campus. And then I got drafted, and then I ended up out in California. And then I found out what the real world was about with rent and expenses. So I got thrust into that world, and you start trying to figure it out. You start figuring out how to pay your bills, how to manage your money, what you can afford, what you can't afford. Sometimes you have to, when you're young, you have to take on a roommate to kind of help supplement the rent for you, or the taxes or whatever comes with the house. But eventually, the younger you start at, the better off I think you are. You get a sense of how it all works, and you kind of get into that environment. So you go from like one little 2-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom to a house to and then you got HOAs, you got this, you got that, and then you're buying property, acquiring property, and by the time you're 35, 36, you're pretty much well on your way. Somebody else is paying your mortgage for the other properties that you worked on when you were in 24, 25, 26, if you're lucky enough.
Absolutely. I don't think the young folks today, I don't know for sure, but I had my first apartment when I was 17. Yeah. So, and I don't know if that happens much anymore. And I had my job and I was going to school and, that whole thing. But my family wasn't, they were there to support me 100%, but they were like, if you want to do that, go ahead and do it. And I just wanted to get out of the house. Like you were saying, Adam, I just needed to get out, and that's what I did. But I think that makes you stronger the earlier you do it. What do you
I agree 100%. I moved out at 16. I did the couch tour for a little bit and just got a couple of jobs and worked my butt off until I could, get my own place.
That's awesome.
It was necessary.
What I've seen a lot, in especially where we live in Newport and Southern Cal, is that, it almost seems like with the younger generation, the car comes first.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? The car comes first, or the second car, or this or that, and it's kind of backwards the way they think about it.
Well, I pull up to the studio every day, and, I'm driving my Wrangler, my 4-door Wrangler, And I know all these people that work for me, and there's Ferraris and Porsches, and they're all young people driving this stuff. And here's the old guy driving the old beater.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the hindsight of being a little bit older and looking back and seeing, okay, maybe that wasn't the smartest way to go. But Chuck is absolutely right. I mean, you start out with, what can I drive to impress the girls or the guys or whatever it might be, and, I got to show up at the party and be cool.
True
I
that.
get that. And it's tough for a 16, 17, 18-year-old person to figure that out because there's a lot they don't know.
I had
at
an
that point.
'89 Nissan Pulsar with T-tops
There you go. Oh, T-tops,
in
nice.
97, 98.
But bottom line is, I think it's a fear factor. At some point, it's like, what happens when I move out from underneath the umbrella of the parents, where the water bill's paid, the electrical's paid, and half the time they're doing my laundry and making dinner for me. And that's a very comfortable place, like you said, Hammer. Right? You can save money.
Hell
that
yeah.
way. I let my daughters save money that way. They stay there as long as they want, as long as they were going to school. Once you're out of school, all right, now we got to start thinking about things.
Honestly, I never want them to leave, so I'll continue to do the laundry. My little asshole son who uses a different towel for every shower that he takes, and usually it's like 2 or 3 a day. So
I gotta disagree on that one. I think you gotta show a little tough love and encourage them to fly the coop.
I just want to know what he's doing in the shower, right? 2 or 3 times a day.
he works out in the morning, and then he works in the after. He works out in the morning. He takes a shower before he goes there, and then he comes home. He's got to go to
Mom, I didn't
work,
need
so
an
he takes a shower.
explanation.
Yeah,
Come
you know what?
And folks, let's call back for
I'm
a
just
second.
going to try to remain blissfully ignorant to what is going on in there. But he's not in there for very long, so he's managed to work
Well, it
that out.
doesn't take
Whatever.
very long.
Hammy, you moved out at 17. You know what he's doing in
He
the
has,
shower.
he has a pretty girlfriend, so he's doing fine.
So you want him to stay there forever. That's a mom for you, though.
I do. I never want them to leave. So,
Dad's like,
you know,
hit the door, Jack.
I kind of like them. I kind of like them.
Chuck, when did your
They're
girls
good kids.
take off, move out?
My oldest left when she was 18, went to college, and then
Nice.
she ended up in San Francisco, then went to New York, still in New York. And then my younger one went to school up in San Francisco, and now she's in LA.
Nice.
So I fooled them. And they're still doing their thing, but yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of adjustment, but you kind of see the transition they have to make.
The progress.
Yeah, from paying their bills to saving money to I can't go on this trip, I can't do this, I can't do that, I have to save for this. And it's a part of the growth process that it makes them understand that, the world's out there and it'll kick your ass if you let it. And
See, Chuck, I can imagine from a Major League Baseball player to you wearing one of those, aprons, making dinner and doing laundry, huh?
well, I still do laundry. My daughter's still laughing. They go, Dad, what are you doing at 7 in the morning? So I just put a load of laundry in the laundry machine. She's like, don't you have somebody do that for you? I go, no, it's me. I do it.
I like doing laundry.
I do too.
I fucking hate doing
Gets
laundry.
done right.
It
Somebody's
is the
gonna have to
bane of
tell
my
me-
existence.
Somebody's going to have to tell me where the laundry room is in my house. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know where it's
Oh,
at.
I hate it. I hate it so
don't think
hard.
you have
It is.
I have
It
no
is
clue.
literally the bane of my existence. It's,
Hammer,
it's
let's
the
do a
worst.
poll, and let's go around the room and see how much you think it would take a first-time home buyer to buy a $500,000 house. How much money do you think it'll take?
First time for 500,000, I'm going to say you're going to need 90 grand.
Okay, Finn?
I'm saying right there too,
I don't
90,
know.
95. Depends on, the more you put down, obviously, the less you'll have.
He's talking bare
I don't know.
minimum.
I mean,
though, right?
obviously,
Yeah.
but if you're, what's your interest
Yeah.
rate? You know what I mean? You can put down
Well,
what 3%.
the problem now
if you,
is that
if you
today's
want to.
age is finding a bank that will actually give you a loan. I mean, everything now is kind of almost going to hard money loans where you got to pay 5 or 6%
That's
over
true.
a point, and
So you're paying 8, 9, 12%.
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
it's almost
Yeah.
like a credit card. You never catch up unless you catch up.
Right.
Finish circle. Adam, what do you think? How much do you think you might need to get into a property at $500,000?
I think it depends on whether you're going the loan route and you can actually make that work. If we're going $500,000, I'd like to think if you're shooting bottom of the barrel, you're looking at what, $35,000, and you're working your ass off for the next 40 years to make that happen. But I also know a couple folks who work for the government or structural engineers, and they can't get a decent house outside of San Francisco if they don't show up $200,000 over offer and close that day.
Well, that is a problem. We can talk about that too because we're in a very unique market. I've been doing this for 35 years, and There's been a couple up markets like this, which we call a heavy sellers market, where it's just impossible because we've got pent up demand. We had COVID, which also, attributed to that pent up demand. And we've got interest rates are ridiculously low. I mean, you can get 2.75, 3.1%. But getting back to our original question, what's it going to take? You only need like 20 grand.
What?
3.5% down.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You 3%.
Winner,
I said
winner, chicken dinner.
3%. I said 3%. Boom, bitches.
But really, it's true. FHA loans, that's conforming money. Conforming means it's not, there's conforming and there's jumbo loans. In fact, they just changed that number. It was 764,000 up to was conforming. They just raised that to 822,000. So you can buy up to that and still be in conforming money. But you can get an FHA loan, 3.5% down, $500,000. It costs you 17.5 technically is your down payment. You're gonna have closing costs, so call it 20 grand. And your payment's gonna be about 3,100 a month, maybe 32. And like Chuck said, a lot of those properties are going to, around here, certainly in California and Newport Beach, you're going to have HOA dues because that's probably going to be a condo or townhome. So you have to factor in that $300, $400 per month. But you can get in. It's not that tough, especially if you're taking the lead on that. Get involved in it. Get a couple of roommates. They can qualify with you. Get a parent to qualify with you, whatever it might be. You got a 3-bedroom. You got $1,000, $1,000. You're paying your $1,000. You got it covered, and you're homeowners.
That's amazing. That 3%, I guess I just never have done that, or really 3.5%. Never really thought about it that way.
Because you're not an FHA kind of guy.
Well, that's true, but I mean,
I've seen
that's
your
awesome.
houses.
That's awesome. I mean, come on, you're a young guy. Apartments at least in our area. I mean, what's a 2-bedroom down here? $3,000?
Well, no,
plus?
that's what I'm saying. It'll
Yeah.
cost you less to buy than
Yeah.
it will to rent.
Yeah.
And as you're renting, you're paying my mortgage because I'm a landlord. Thank you for paying my mortgage, guys. Get out there and buy it. It makes a lot more. And by the way, your tax deduction, when you end up doing your taxes, when you're working your butt off and making that money, and you're renting, you're getting no tax deduction. Maybe they give you $50 a year or something like that. But if you've got a mortgage and you're paying, call it $3,200 again a month, your first couple of years, that mortgage is actually like $3,000 or $2,800 is interest. That's 100% deductible off your income. A lot of people don't realize that.
Well, think about it, guys. Instead of driving that fancy new car, drive that 10-year-old car, get with your buddies, get in there, 3.5%. You're absolutely crazy not to buy something.
And by the way,
you got to do it.
FHA just came out with new rules. Previously, you couldn't.
Can you explain to everybody what FHA is?
Oh, Federal Housing Administration. It's a secondary market, like Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are secondary mortgage entities, government entities, where they buy and sell mortgages behind the scenes, so to speak. So they're regulated government loans. And so with an FHA loan, they just now came out with this thing where you can use your rent payments that you've been making. So you moved out of your house, you've been renting with your friends for a couple of months or a couple of years, excuse me. You can now take those rent payments and say, see, what am I trying to say?
Qualified.
I'm qualified.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can use those rent payments now to show the lender, hey, I do that kind of stuff.
Well, that's cool. I mean, that's super important because what else do you have? I mean, especially young folks, they don't have a lot of credit. So that's a huge thing, I would imagine.
It is, and credit's another good point because unfortunately we live and die by credit ratings. It's ridiculous. I hate it, but here we are. And yeah, no credit is as bad credit. So you can also now put your utilities on your credit rating. You can go to Experian or whatever and punch in a couple numbers and say they now will take credit for your electric bills and your water bills and stuff like that. So it all helps your credit rating. So
one thing that's super important, guys, and you got to pay attention to this. If you got an old credit card, even if you're not using it a lot, never get rid of that thing because that's your highest credit rating.
Your oldest.
Your oldest.
Yeah.
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 A lot of people go, I'm not using that credit card. Let's get rid of it. That damages your credit. So make sure you keep that.
I'm still paying mine.
Chuck, guys like us, we don't even, you got these huge FICO scores, but we got nothing to do with them because we don't use the stuff.
Exactly.
Right? As you get older, you're just not spending that money.
Yeah.
You just bought a new truck, you pay cash for it.
Yeah,
right?
I was going to say, it's about borrowing versus cash payments.
Yeah.
As far as, FICOs are concerned, like a 675, 680 credit score will get you started in the discussion, but you're going to pay a higher interest rate. You start getting the 725, that's mid-range. You get up to the 745, 760 and above, you'll get the best possible interest rates out there.
So what would actually take your credit score down? What would kill it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. If you don't own yet, you're obviously not going to have a mortgage late because those are killers, right? Mortgage lates are killers. Bankruptcies, killers. Foreclosures, killers. But again, first-time homeowners don't have any of those, so not to worry about that. Like Hammer said, if you've got like a credit card from Macy's and you've had it for 4 or 5 years, you're not using it, hang on to it. Use it once in a while, otherwise they'll cancel it, right? If you don't use it, they'll cancel it. So use it once in a while, pay it off completely, and that'll keep increasing your credit score.
And also hope Macy's doesn't go bankrupt.
Or also, I would more advise like a Visa or an Amex over any kind of store credit, because they usually charge around 20% interest on those
Oh,
credit
it's
cards.
crazy.
It's horrible. They give you that incentive, like we'll give you 10% off your whole bill today if you open up a credit card, and you're thinking, oh, that's going to be great. But nobody ever reads the fine print and realizes like they're charging you
23%
25
later.
fucking
Yeah.
percent, you know, to
My
So
Starbucks card gave me 50,000 stars in the first month, though.
that's not a credit card, honey.
So
That's
Adam, I
depression.
got a question for you. You're in your 20s. What is your rent? What close to? Give me a ballpark of your rent.
My rent for 2 and 2.5 bath, 2-bed, 2.5 bath in Newport Beach is $3,600.
There you go.
$3,600. Now, you could easily buy a condo with that kind of money, couldn't he?
You can, and you know, you may not be on the beach in Newport anymore, but that's another part. You know, we should talk about that a little bit. You have to be realistic as well. You know, once you can finally qualify, which I highly encourage you talk to a lender to get that handled and figure out where you are and help your credit score if you need help with it.
Now, let me ask you a question, Troy. Should I do that ahead of time?
Always, yeah. I mean,
So tell me the process a little bit.
well, you talk to somebody like myself who's a real estate broker or a lender. You know, I can refer anybody to lenders like that. But what you want to do is tell them where you stand. You know, what do you make? What are your expenses? They can figure out your credit score. They can look that up really easily. And if you have a problem with your credit, they can say, all right, over the next 6 months, here's how we fix that. Or over the next 3 months, here's how you can increase your cash flow to make your application look better. But when you're walking into an offer situation, you say, oh my gosh, I love that place. I have to have it. I can actually afford that. If you're not pre-qualified, you're not going to get it. And I say that in today's market. If it's a buyer's market, it might be a little different. But in a seller's market, when it's moving like this so fast, you have to be qualified. You have to have your money ready to go, and you got to be on top of things.
You have to have all your ducks in a row.
And about the location thing I was saying, you might end up in Costa Mesa, you might end up in Fountain Valley, Huntington Beach, a little bit off the beach maybe. It's a consideration, a consolation you might have to make. But
You know what? Santa Ana's got some. You know, they always talk trash about Santa Ana, but it's got some very beautiful areas in
Yep,
Santa
the
Ana.
flower streets are
and
incredible.
it's getting
It
better and better
absolutely
and better.
does, but you can't afford it.
No? Listen, Adam, I think for you, Costa Mesa is a great place to live now, and it's just getting better and better and better. And you can buy a nice condo in Costa Mesa for $400,000 to $600,000, right?
yeah, 4 is going to be real tight, but you know, up to 650, 700, you can kind of pick and choose some stuff. Yeah.
I love the Costa Mesa. Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of nestled between some of the best parts of Southern California. You've got Newport Beach just off the bluff. You can avoid Huntington to the north and get straight down to South County.
Exactly.
And absolutely enjoy your weekends down
The hell with
south.
Huntington. Yeah.
But Huntington's huge. It's a really huge city, and there's a lot of, you know, price sensitive areas there.
Chuck, how old were you the first time you bought your first house?
Oh, I was 24.
24.
Yeah.
Oh, you know that right off the top.
Yeah.
21.
21.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you?
I was 26, I think. Yeah.
26.
Yeah.
You know, the first house I bought, they were asking a ridiculous amount of money, and I went over there, and apparently the gentleman had passed away, and the lady had the house, and I was walking my dog, and my wife goes, "What are you doing? You don't go look at that house. It's too expensive." I said, "I just want to go talk to him." So I went up and I talked to him, and I bought the house for 40%, maybe 45% less than what they were asking. I didn't have a realtor. I did it all by myself. I looked it all up, figured it all out, and thank God I had a big down payment. So that's what they looked at. So, I mean, you can do it. I mean, it just save your money, guys.
Well, at that point, too, there was a lot less liability back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, that place that I bought right up to here, Ticonderoga,
Yep.
Newport Crest. Yeah, Newport Crest. $185,000 I paid for it. I think today they're going for like $1.2 million.
Yep,
and,
they
and
are.
it's
Yeah.
nothing special. But
Well, they're
it's
big.
just-
They're good square footage.
Yeah,
They got
it's-
2-car garages. They're, you can actually put your roller skates on. You're at the beach with that,
But that's a really cool community.
And
Yeah.
it sounds like if you don't have a car to park in that garage and put 4 bikes in there instead, that's a great starter home.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
something else Chuck brought up earlier, you mentioned, or asked me, how old we bought our first place. I still own the place, my very first house. You start, acquiring real estate as as you start young. I mean, that just sets you off. Any rich person you ever talk to, ask them how much real estate they got, and they'll go ding, 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 ding. I mean, you can get rich selling the stuff, but you get wealthy by owning it.
Yeah,
And
but I've always been told, and my dad always told me this: never sell your
Yeah.
real estate.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place for that, but you're right. I mean, it's like by and
especially if
large,
you don't need it.
Yeah.
If you don't need the cash or write down, let it roll.
That's gold in your pocket.
Yeah.
absolutely.
It's not going to get any cheaper.
No.
Do you think the market's going to take another crash because they've gone up so exponentially?
It's a really
And
good
then
question.
eventually,
And
like
It has
COVID,
to.
I
It
mean,
has to.
I feel like that's a big concern for a lot of people.
it is, and you're right. There's a lot of folks right now. It's like I'm just going to sit on the sidelines and wait. Hang on a minute. This is too crazy. I'm going to hold on and wait until things calm down. The word crash, no, definitely not going to crash. Back in 2007, 2008.
I owned a mortgage company in 2007.
Now I mean, that was the worst ever because the mortgage companies were the ones buoying the entire marketplace. You had Wall Street get involved. That was in the big too big to fail bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Well, it did fail, and it had a ripple effect across the entire real estate. I mean, I'm almost hardly sold a house for a year and a half. It's like you can't buy, you can't sell. There's
Well,
no
back
loans,
then you could
can't
be
do anything.
4 years old, and they'd say, "Yeah, you qualify."
I know. I mean,
You know?
they were taking on
Yeah.
cutting and pasting all over the place.
Yeah.
Being in the mortgage business was just huge baller status.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you could get a loan from anybody.
And
Yep.
if you wanted a boat or a Rolex, you just go to the pawn shops in 2007, 2008, and you could just cash in because all the lenders are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, no, it's not going to be a crash. Is there going to be a correction? Absolutely. What does a correction mean? It means it's going to slow down. Prices are going to level off. They're not going to go down. I don't think they're going to just level off. But the thing is, the interest rates being at 2.75, 3.1, 3.2 are going to go up to 3.5, 4, 4.5, maybe even 5 in the next, I think, 18 months. So if you're looking at a $500,000 property today and you buy it today at today's interest rates, you wait a year and a half, the prices are the same and the interest rates are now 5, you're going to be paying probably $500 to $600 more per month for your mortgage than you would by buying today. So waiting is not the right answer.
But Troy, I don't care what anybody says. My belief is there's never a bad time ever to buy real estate. Doesn't matter if you paid a little more, like we're talking right now, because the interest rate, makes that work.
Absolutely right.
But you have the property. That's the key.
I think a lot of people have fears because there's like another level of this COVID shit happening. People are afraid that they're going to shut down again, and then they're going to lose their income again, and then you're going to have to not be able to pay your mortgage. And that's a very valid fear.
Well, there's always fears, though.
Well, no, I'll give that as a valid fear, but the reality is during this pandemic, more people saved money and gained money in their bank accounts than people who didn't.
That's absolutely true.
I think that's a really rosy outlook because I've had a lot of friends, especially recently, who have approached employers who they've been with for over a year now. They've been contributing to the business, and they've said, hey, this is kind of the next step. I'm about to be engaged, and I do need to start thinking about my next step. And the employers say, well, I understand you might need that raise, but have you talked to your family about helping to support you? And when we look at first-time homeowning and we're looking at competing with people who are coming in over offer, when you say now's the time to take the risk, that these concerns are respective holdbacks on
Stop
that.
the
And
press.
if we get to wait for a slump a little bit,
Whoa, stop the press. I'm going to have to talk to your mother. Does she know you're about ready to be engaged?
Oh, we didn't tell
I'm
you?
getting on the phone right now. Yeah, is this a new thing? What the hell? Well, you just let the cat right out of the bag right there, man.
no, I mean, I've
Adam,
got-
I'll give you that. I mean, they're all valid concerns. I agree with you 100%, but you look at the larger marketplace, and that's, I think, a smaller segment of the market. I mean, if I'm in the hospitality business, yeah, that's getting crunched, right? But By and large, there's more money in the marketplace than there ever has been, hence all these buyers. I mean, there's every single property has multiple offers on it. That's another aspect of buying right now, very difficult. A lot of agents want to go in non-contingent, no contingencies, pre-approved, all this kind of stuff. I can't buy that. I don't like taking offers that way.
Oh, hold on. Hello, Charlotte. Yeah, did you hear your son's engaged? Yeah, cuz he's engaged.
You know what I've noticed out there in the properties that I've looked at is that they list them low, and they get this emotional feeling where they get 15 or 20 people start bidding against each other, and they drive it so far over the top. I've seen these homes like selling for 2.3 million max.
Right.
Ends up selling for 3.1 because you get these people emotionally involved, and they're just jumping over one another every day. I've seen 3 properties do
that's
that
what I've
before.
seen.
It's crazy.
That's what I've been seeing.
You know what
Yeah.
part of that is? There's a few brokers out there, and I'm obviously no names out there, but they do that on purpose because a week after they do that, you'll see their brochure coming in your mail. We sell over full price. We got $100,000 over full price in 2 days. That's a marketing ploy, and it's bullshit.
Yeah. No, I've seen it.
Yeah, but what does that do to the comps?
Yeah, fucking bullshit.
Well, comps is kind of tough too because you have to look at that. A real estate broker doing good comps knows how those sold and how that came about. The more interesting question is, what about appraisals? How can the appraisers keep up with all that? Some do, but a lot of these are cash deals.
And they don't even care. Like, I don't care what it appraises at. I want the house. My wife wants it, so here.
I don't want anything that bad.
I think for folks my age, a slump will give us confidence in the market. I think that it doesn't even have to be a drop or a plummet like some people might have been able to take advantage of before. But if we see some kind of normalization where like folks aren't coming in always with like higher offers and we feel like we do have like a reasonable option to get a couple offers in, then hopefully our home ownership can increase as well, and we can start building that equity that all of y'all had been able to do before.
Adam, take a look at yourself. Who's going to want to live next to you?
It's
Come on.
definitely no.
Hi,
He's right.
I share beers.
Yes. Okay,
It's
we're moving
discouraging. It's discouraging at this point because people are making bid after bid after bid on house after house after house and getting outbid $100,000 on a house. I've seen it time and time again recently. It's kind of crazy. You get to the point where you're like, fuck it. I don't want to buy a house.
Yeah, it's all cash. And you go,
Well, there's a couple things to that. One, maybe you make a little concession on what you really want and move a little bit further out and just get in the game. That's one idea. And as far as Adam says, wait for a slump. Well, the interesting thing is about real estate is you don't know what the market's doing until it's passed, right? Because we can predict as much as we want. But
Correct.
if we're right now, we know what it's doing because we're in it and we've been there. You won't know a slump until we're past a slump and look back and go, oh, that was a slump. That might have been a good time to buy. So really hard to gauge that time frame and pinpoint that. I know I sound like a real estate broker right now, but
And
it's
honestly,
true. I deal with all
I
that.
think it's a great thing to hear too, because only having so many years looking at the market, let alone being out of kindergarten, those are important things for me to hear as well.
I'm going to tell you guys something, though. This is real important. Hold on here. 4 years ago, I bought my last forever house, I think. And Troy, you sold it to me. And I paid way over market for this one. And I was completely happy to do it because now I'm way ahead. But if I hadn't have done that, I'd be paying, $300,000 or $400,000 more today, or even more than that, than what I paid for it then. So it really doesn't matter. Get in when you can.
Yeah, and that's another point too. If you're buying what you think is during a slump, well, how long is that slump going to last? You buy at the beginning of what you think is a slump, and all of a sudden it goes down for 2-3 more years. Like, oh crap, why did I buy then? So it's always timing. It's all about timing and
And you're
what's
going
right
to
for
keep
you.
the house 20, 30, 40 years. You're not, it's
Well,
not-
hopefully you do because you're
Yeah.
going to rent it out and buy another one, like we
Right.
talked about earlier. But yeah.
Okay. So what are my 3 things to do? Here I am sitting with knowledgeable folks who know the industry, have gotten in, and capitalized on the situation when they were able to. What are the things I do to do that now?
I want to hear Chuck's answer first.
well, get your priorities in order. That's the first thing you do. And
Yep.
Stop dating hoes.
Hey,
figure out
nothing
what-
says priorities like a 2010 Kia Soul with 50,000 miles on it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to figure out what
Nice.
you really want. I mean, you got to get rid of something to get something. So that's the first thing that I would look at. What do I don't need in order for me to get this house that will provide for me not only for years to come, but my kids or whatever I can hold on to as rental property or an investment property or whatever to move on to something bigger or wherever I want to be. But yeah, I just feel like you got to get your ducks all in a row and get it all there. To be able
Absolutely.
to go in and step into something like that. You can't walk in there like limping, like thinking it's going to happen, because it's going to be tough for you.
Ducks in a row, number one.
Well, yeah, and Chuck's absolutely right, guys. Listen, and even if you, I know this sounds trivial, but even if you stop going out 3 times a week, maybe go out once a week, pocket that money. Yeah, it's going to take a while to build it. It'll take a few years, but you'll still be building, and then you'll have the money to buy that property.
And how about a side hustle? A lot
Absolutely.
of guys these days are doing a little side hustle, a little something else, a little something on the side.
Save
And
your
that's
money.
easy.
Yeah, save your money. Stop buying Starbucks. Stop buying avocado toast. Stop buying IPAs. Start drinking, naughty ice or something, whatever.
I mean,
How
many-
that's
how
kinda
many
what you have
years
to do.
are you into it before you can like refinance and get a lower rate?
You can do that within 6 months
6
after
months,
getting a
yeah.
loan, typically.
Yeah, so that's another
that's
thing
easy.
to look at.
Yep.
Everything's on time. You just start chipping away at the interest.
Yep.
So get your ducks in a row, start making bathtub gin, and look at your refi percentages.
Exactly.
Hey, bathtub
Is
gin's
bathtub
pretty
gin
good.
your
Yeah.
side hustle?
Well, I'm just saying
Mary
my
Rich.
address is
Hey, I perfected that in prison, man.
Go
It's
start hanging out at the Quiet Woman at the bar.
That's a 10 by 10 toilet
Hey,
room
Hammer,
right there.
how about Mary Rich?
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Get yourself a sugar
We'll
mama.
see you next time on Happening Now. Good to see you guys.
Happening now. It's happening